On October 10th, 2025, 32-year-old Sonia Exelby landed at Gainesville Regional Airport in Florida after traveling alone from Portsmouth, England. She was supposed to be back home 3 days later, but Sonia would never board that return flight. And before detectives understood why, they would uncover a rented house, a trail of suspicious purchases, frightened messages sent in secret, and a deleted video that changed the meaning of everything. Because the strangest part of this case was not simply that Sonia had traveled thousands of miles to meet a man, it was the reason she had chosen him. And what happened when she apparently changed her mind. When Sonia walked out of the airport, 53-year-old Florida resident Dwayne Hall was waiting for her. Investigators later said vehicle location evidence placed Hall at the airport, and Hall eventually admitted that he had collected Sonia and driven her to a short-term rental property near Reddick, Florida. At that point, nothing had officially been reported wrong. Sonia was an adult, traveling voluntarily. She had arranged the accommodation herself, and to anyone watching from a distance, it could have appeared to be an ordinary meeting between two people who had known each other online. But investigators later examined Hall's movements before the airport pickup. They said bank records and surveillance footage showed him purchasing paracord, approximately 50 feet of rope, gun cleaner, and a shovel at a Gainesville Walmart. Receipts connected to those purchases were later discovered during a search of the rental property. At the time, detectives did not yet know exactly what those items had been purchased for. But 3 days after Sonia arrived, she failed to appear for her scheduled flight back to England. On October 13th, British authorities contacted the Florida Department of Law Enforcement through Interpol and reported Sonia missing and endangered. Her family and friends were deeply concerned. A loved one later described Sonia publicly as vulnerable and struggling with her mental health. They believed she had arranged to meet someone in Florida and had placed herself in an extremely dangerous situation. Investigators began reconstructing her movements. They looked at financial records, they examined telephone data, they checked surveillance footage and vehicle location information, and one name repeatedly appeared: Dwayne Hall. According to the arrest affidavit, Hall initially claimed that he did not know Sonia. But as investigators confronted him with more evidence, his account changed. He eventually admitted picking her up from the airport and taking her to the rented property. He also acknowledged that they had spent time together there and had discussed extremely disturbing subjects. Detectives also discovered attempted transactions involving Sonia's money. Investigators alleged that Hall had attempted to move money from her account, and that Sonia transferred approximately $1,200 to him after arriving in Florida. Hall was first taken into custody on financial-related charges, while investigators continued searching for Sonia. But detectives still did not know where she was. Then they discovered messages Sonia had sent to someone through Discord. The messages described a woman who was frightened, injured, and desperate. Sonia said the man with her had shown her how to use a gun. She said he had made it clear that the only way she could escape was by shooting him. But Sonia wrote that she could not kill anyone. She said she had begun questioning everything the previous night. She described herself as terrified and in pain. She also claimed that she had been forced to record 3 disclaimer videos and write a letter to her family. To investigators, those messages suggested that whatever arrangement may have existed before Sonia entered the United States, she no longer felt free to leave. Cell phone information eventually led detectives to Woodland in Marion Oaks, Florida. On October 17th, investigators discovered disturbed ground. Beneath it was a shallow grave. Inside, they found Sonia. The medical examiner determined that she had suffered 4 sharp force injuries, most likely caused by a knife. Investigators found material connected to a shovel near the burial area. A matching shovel was later recovered from Hall's garage. Authorities alleged that DNA from both Hall and Sonia was detected on it. But there was another problem. The suspected weapon was missing. Detectives learned that Hall had mailed a package to a friend in Ohio. When authorities recovered the package, they allegedly found a knife inside. Testing reportedly detected blood, and investigators believed the biological evidence was connected to Sonia. The evidence now appeared to form a direct path from the airport to the rented house to the woods, and finally to Hall. But the most disturbing discovery was still waiting thousands of miles away. British investigators examined Sonia's computer and personal writings in England. What they found transformed the case. Sonia had not met Hall by accident. Investigators said the two had communicated online for approximately 2 years through a fetish website. Sonia had reportedly been struggling with severe suicidal thoughts. According to investigators, her writings indicated that she had traveled to Florida, expecting to be sexually abused, tortured, and possibly killed. Hall later described himself as someone who had been mentoring her and attempting to improve her life. He claimed that they had discussed bondage, suicide, and Sonia's desire to have someone end her life. Investigators also recovered a deleted video from Hall's phone. The video was reportedly recorded inside the rental property on October 11th. It showed Sonia disheveled, bruised, and visibly distressed. Hall could allegedly be heard asking Sonia how she wanted to die and repeatedly prompting her to confirm that she had consented. Sonia answered some of his questions, but investigators said she hesitated, appeared subdued, and rarely looked toward either Hall or the camera. The video appeared to document an earlier agreement, but the messages Sonia secretly sent to her friend told a very different story. She was scared. She was questioning the plan. She said she wanted a way out. That became the central issue in the investigation. Even if Sonia had originally traveled to Florida expecting to die, could any earlier agreement excuse what happened after she apparently withdrew that consent and tried to escape? Investigators say it could not. They allege that once Sonia changed her mind, Hall continued controlling her, prevented her from leaving, and ultimately killed her. Hall has been charged with premeditated first-degree murder and kidnapping, along with separate financial-related offenses. He has pleaded not guilty. His defense has not yet been tested before a jury, and he remains legally presumed innocent unless convicted. As of April 2026, jury selection in his murder and kidnapping trial was scheduled to begin on November 16, 2026. Sonia Exelby crossed an ocean while trapped inside one state of mind. But the evidence suggests that after arriving in Florida, something changed. She became afraid. She began looking for a way out. And by the time anyone understood what she was trying to say, she had already missed the flight that was supposed to take her home.